when it comes to dirt, a lot of people are, they either minimize this or focus on, kind of the tangible aspects of this. When you're talking about dirt, people say, it's dirt cheap. Cheaper than dirt. I feel so dirty. But, in the house, we have from Texas Tech Plant and Soil Sciences, the Associate Dean for Research of the department, the school, Dr. David Weindorf. Welcome to the program.
Good morning. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, go ahead and pull that mic up a little bit closer.
Sure thing.
There you go.
Yeah, okay.
All right. This is gonna just stun you with disbelief. There are 20,000 different cereals of dirt.
Soil series.
Series. Sorry.
Different types of soil. Think about it that way.
That's just in the U.S. of A. So how do you identify this stuff? I mean, is it like, do you look at it by DNA, or is there a chemical? What is it?
Yeah, that's a great question. And so there are different soil subspecialties, you might say. Think of them that way. Soil chemistry, soil physics, soil microbiology. In my particular subdiscipline, which is pedology, or soil morphology, classification, and genesis, we go out to the field and we look at a soil profile and we evaluate the different layers of soil. So think about it this way. If your listeners are driving down the highway and they're headed down towards Post, and they go down through that road cut there and they see all of those layers along the side, right? You've seen those. Each of those layers have different properties, different soil textures, different colors, different structure, all types of different features that we can describe. We go through and we evaluate all of those things. And once we have a good description of the soil, we can then go through our classification key and actually taxonomically classify the soil and find out what it's useful for. Is that a good soil for farming?
Can you define taxonomically?
Well, think about it this way. There's a classification system for animals. Homo sapiens, we're people, right? There's a classification system for plants. Prosopis glandulosa, these types of things.
Oh, yeah.
Cynodon dactylon, you have that in your front yard. That's Bermuda grass.
Excuse me? Oh.
Yeah, okay. So there's a classification system.
He was swearing at me for a
Yeah,
moment.
that's right. There's a classification system for soils just like there is for plants or animals. And actually, our system here in the United States is a system called U.S. Soil Taxonomy, but it is one of several different systems that are used worldwide. And our system is actually used in many other countries as well. It's one of the famous ones, you might say. So,
I mean, is this one of those things where you can shoot from the hip and say, this is what it is? Or do you just, do you have to chemically break it down, look at it under a microscope? What?
Yeah, some of both. To some extent, we can shoot from the hip. We can go out to the field, and somebody who's experienced in this can say, it's a clay loam soil texture. I can tell from the dark color that it's high in organic matter. Knowing that it's high in organic matter, I know the soil fertility status.
This guy's a dirt snob.
Will be pretty good, okay? But there are chemical factors. What's the nitrogen content? What's the phosphorus content? What's the pH? Obviously, we can't evaluate those just by looking at it.
Right.
So we have to collect those samples and take them back to the lab and run analysis on it, and that helps us get a full idea of what that soil is useful for.
And that's how we came up with the 20,000 different soil series in the United States.
Okay.
That's exactly right.
That's amazing.
Now, let me tell you this. As you look across the high plains here, it's largely flat. We have some playa lakes and things. But you wouldn't think there's that much variability in the soils.
Right.
But in fact, there is a lot of variability.
Just across the South Plains.
Just across the South Plains. There are, I said 20,000 different individual soil series. In the most broad sense, we have 12 soil orders. Would you believe that we have 5 of those different soil orders here in Lubbock County?
Really?
Yeah. So there's lots of variability if you actually get down into the soil and look at it.
Does this all go back to the 12 tribes of Israel?
Something like that.
Wow. Okay, now, off mic we were talking about you're about to go to India, and tell us about how you're sharing our technology and with other places in the world.
One of the really great loves that I have is to work with international folks. A lot of these people around the world are really hungry for information. They're hungry for knowledge, but they just don't have the technical prowess. They just don't have the equipment. They haven't been exposed to modern methods that we use in evaluating soils and approaching our ways of mapping soils. And so through the years, I've been able to travel to lots of different countries around the world. And as you mentioned, on Friday, I'll be headed to India. I'll be working at an agricultural university over there who Texas Tech just signed a cooperative memorandum of agreement with. And we'll be taking some instruments with us and evaluating about 400 different soil samples while there, working with their faculty members, working and training their students. And then the output of this will be a peer-reviewed research paper that we publish probably within the next 6 to 12 months.
So where do they go with this information? Does this help them know what plants to plant in certain types of soil then?
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, one of the issues that especially countries like India are facing are food production. Mm-hmm. They have a growing population, and they have to find a way to produce more and more crops on a fixed amount of land because their population is just exploding. And so when we talk with them about the different soils that they have and which soils might be appropriate for use in growing different crops, that's one thing that we can look at. But we can also talk with them about ways that they can improve the soil fertility for the soils that they have. So whether that's applying fertilizer or manure, one of the big areas in agriculture that we talk about right now is precision agriculture. So knowing where to most effectively apply the amount of fertilizer that I have. In a country like India, it's not always easy to actually go and purchase fertilizer. You can't just go to Home Depot and pick up a bag. I mean, they're out in the middle of nowhere in a lot of places. They might have limited access to water or farm equipment or other thing like that. There's a lot of hand agriculture that's done, hoeing the fields by hand, for instance. And so, going out there and talking with these people about modern methods and ways that they can optimize their crop production is really important.
Yeah, absolutely, because it means food on people's plates.
That's exactly right.
It's kind of interesting now. You're about to do a television documentary up in Alaska. When's all this happening?
Yeah, so we're going to start filming this summer. It's going to be taking place in July and August, and then we'll go back again in the winter to get some frozen footage, and everything's iced over up there. But for the past 5 to 7 years, I've been co-instructor of the Arctic Soils Field Tour. And last year I took 2 Texas Tech students on this trip as well, and I've had many students over the years go on it. It's really fascinating up there because you see things in the soil that you would never see or experience in the lower 48 states. And for me, I can remember point blank the first time that I picked up a shovel up there and I dug down into the soil and I hit a lens of ice inside the soil.
Wow.
That's a really surreal experience.
That's
fascinating. That ice is permanently frozen there. Mm-hmm. You see black spruce trees up there that might be 4 or 5 feet tall, and they might be 300 years old.
Wow.
Really?
Yeah. And the reason that they aren't able to grow any taller than that is the roots go down and they hit that ice.
And that's it.
And they can't move down deeper in the soil. So these are the kinds of neat things, the permafrost, the patterned ground, the ice lenses and wedges that you see up there, in addition to the types of landscapes that you have and oil production, gold production. I mean, there's so many fascinating things up there to look at.
Now, when can we see this documentary and where?
Well, we're going to be filming this summer, and Texas Tech Public Media is helping to produce the film, and we're shooting to release the film hopefully in the fall of 2016. It'll take about a year to cut down all the film and do the scoring of the music and, all of that stuff. And
it will air?
On public broadcasting, PBS.
PBS.
Mm-hmm. Wow. All right, we're going to hit the break. We're going to come back talking with Dr. David Weindorf. We've got some career opportunities we want to discuss that are relative to plant and soil sciences. Some stuff you may say, okay, that's a no-brainer, and some stuff not so much. You might be surprised. Tom and Laura, Lubbock's First News, talking with Dr. David Weindorf. He's Associate Dean of Research, Plant and Soil Sciences, Texas Tech University. Last time that I was in a Chinese restaurant, I'm looking at the placemat. It says that the ox doesn't marry the rat and things like that. But little did we know until just moments ago that 2015 is the International Year of Soils. Wow. Okay.
I knew that.
Did you?
I
did. She did.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
I think we learned that from one of our other guests from Texas Tech's Plant and Soil Sciences Department.
So there are celebrations going on all over the world to commemorate 2015 as the International Year of Soils. Mm-hmm. And this is a designation that was made by the United Nations in recognition of the importance that soil holds as a natural resource worldwide.
Yeah. Well, Okay, let's talk about some career opportunities. I mean, when you're talking about soil, I mean, soil remediation.
Your job sounds fascinating. You've traveled all around the world.
Yeah, I really have had some wonderful opportunities. But let's start with what the students could potentially, come out and do as a career opportunity. I've got to give a shout out to my good friends at the Natural Resources Conservation Service here this morning. We have two of their offices here in town, and their branch of the U.S. Department of Agriculture. Kelly Atterbury, Craig Bird, these guys out there, they do a fantastic job of going out and working with farmers and evaluating their soil resources. And they do a lot of mapping work, and they spend a lot of hours out in the field. They also spend some hours in the office doing digitizing of maps and things such as this. But these are the guys on the front lines that actually go out and make the determinations of what the soil resources are like. And I've had a lot of students over the years, at least a half a dozen, go to work for the Natural Resources Conservation Service as an entry-level soil scientist. And so they have different offices all around the state, in fact, all around the United States. And, they operate on a county-by-county basis and evaluate all these different resources. And it's a really important job. In addition to that, there are a lot of opportunities out there for environmental consulting. And there are consulting firms who are looking for people to make delineations of wetlands. What constitutes a wetland area versus a non-wetland area? Well, there are soil features that help you to make those types of decisions. And you need somebody that's trained and has those types of skills and expertise in order to look at that. One of the important things that I tell students when they're considering career opportunities is, there are certain occupations that you go out there and there are hundreds of thousands of graduates. And I'm not going to mention any by name, but, you're looking for something in business or something in real estate or whatever. There are thousands of people who have that skill set. But if you're looking for somebody with a very unique skill set in soil science, the pool of applicants is actually quite small. There are not that many people who can apply for those jobs, who have that technical knowledge and those skills. So I think it's a really great job market for people looking to get into kind of a technical field and provide some outreach.
And very important in helping our crops worldwide.
That's exactly right. And a lot of students that I talk to, they don't want to sit behind a desk all day, and they don't want to be outside all day either. They want to have kind of a mix, and this is a great job for that.
Okay, not to walk away from it because we can sit here and talk about all this, just for hours, but some of the travel opportunities and places that you get to go are just, I've never, like I said, we've never met people that travel more to more interesting places than people in the ag industry.
Yeah, I've had some wonderful opportunities over the years. I was a Fulbright scholar in Romania, so I lived with my family overseas there for 6 months. I've worked in Spain, Italy, South Korea, Australia, all over the place. So really great opportunities.
Okay,
very interesting.
Real quick, soil judging competition coming up. Got 20 seconds.
Yeah, we took first place in our regional soils judging competition.
Who knew?
That's right. We're going to the Nationals in Monticello, Arkansas this spring. Well, we're looking to dominate.
There you go. Rack
Guns
'em.
up. Guns up.
All right. Hey, man, Dr. David Weindorf, thanks for being with us this morning.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.